most people aren't playing a winnable game out there. If you're not able to make over six figures between 100,000, 250,000 and not have to work 50 hours a week, you need to change the way you do business to be able to run it like an actual business. Welcome to Gym Owner Freedom. I am Scott Carpenter, and I am a former broke, struggling, frustrated, and overworked gym owner that felt stuck no matter what I did to try and improve the business. Once I realized that the answer wasn't what I thought it was, just getting more clients, and after really doing the math on acquisition and churn rates, I realized I wasn't even playing a winnable game to begin with. With my current price structure, mathematically, there was no way I could afford to pay my staff so I could scale up and out of the business, that I could have the time, the money, the impact, and the freedom that I always knew I was capable of. Once I learned how to add value by selling transformational programs to people who needed more than just workouts, everything changed in my life. Today, I own 6 gyms that all run without me, and I am free to pursue my passion projects and work just because I love to, not because I have to. And if that's a goal that we mutually share together, then this is the show for you. I'm going to teach you the framework to make way more money with less clients and open up a world of possibilities to you. Subscribe, leave a review, and tune in every week. It'll change your life. I promise you that. All right, here we go. I have 2 amazing gentlemen on this podcast. Of course, Dave Bess, my partner in crime in gyms and PT Legends. And we have Hugh Green on this show, who is just an amazing gym owner with an amazing story. And if anyone out there is stuck or has really struggled or is struggling, you're going to love to hear his story, where he was, and how he turned everything around in a matter of weeks. Like a fairy tale story. It's almost a little bit too good to be true, but Hugh, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, we talked initially. When did we talk? Maybe October-ish, November-ish last in 2022?
It was in the fall, yeah.
Yeah.
In the fall 2022.
Sometime in the fall. And you own a gym. Where's your gym at, and what's it called?
Baltimore, Maryland. We're Capacity Fitness and Nutrition.
Excellent. Yeah. So we talked, and I don't even know, how did you come across me?
You honestly, I think you chased me down on Facebook, or it suggested us as friends.
Nice. And then you probably started seeing some of my content and stuff like that. And
yeah, right.
Yeah, interesting, because I completely forgot about that too. And so that's cool. There's an organic lead right there. Mm-hmm. And we teach you how to do this for your gym too, which is great. So that's perfect. And then you were kind of in a unique spot because you were working with another gym mentorship for how long?
We were, at that time, it was about a year. So when we talked, it was about a year. And when we left, it was about a year and a half.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Cause we talked. But then, I mean, one of the first things I remember you saying is, hey, I don't want to ruin the relationship I have with my current business coach. And of course, we teach totally different things, but that was one of your concerns. But why don't you kind of tell everybody where you were at over the past year, 2 years with your business, and what led you up to needing to make some sort of a change with what was going on?
Okay. So that previous year or two, we'd started gym from scratch with no members. We started in parking lots and ended up getting a little 600 square foot garage space down in like an industrial park on the Inner Harbor in Baltimore. Sweet little spot, and grown it up to maybe 20 or 30 members. And then we found we needed a little help with our systems and needed a mentor. So we found a mentor and through that group, and it helped us get things organized and put some structure into what we were doing. And we saw things kind of tick up into about maybe 6 or 8 months in, we kind of hit a peak. And we, after that peak, went into we'll call it a steady decline over 6 months. somewhere in there, we reached out to you. We were sort of in the middle of that fall. We didn't really understand why. We just knew that what we were trying wasn't really working for us. I was never a very confident salesperson. We didn't really have a robust sales process. We certainly had mastered the art of group class and still pride ourselves on that. It's a great part of our offerings, but something was missing. And we knew that in order to, so I quit my job during this point, right? So in that 2 years that we'd started gym, I left my 6-figure job to run a 20-person gym out of a garage. And so I was starting to have to regret my decision a little bit. And so I was willing to kind of look around and started talking to you a little bit. And the things you were saying were very appealing, if nothing else, because they would satisfy that revenue piece for me, right? Because our revenues were just dipping. And it got to the point, I think after about 1.5 years, when we finally came back to you and talked again in the spring of this year or winter, where I was having to make a decision on okay, cool, I got to pay my rent, I got to pay my coaches, and I got to pay my bills, my utilities. Who's going to get paid first? How long can I put off? So I get my rent in the first week, my coaches in the second week, and we'll just not buy chalk for the chalk buckets anymore and things like that.
And
right?
hold off on getting Gabby any money too, right?
And so that discussion is a whole nother, right? Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So you're in a very tight squeeze.
Yep.
And you're still investing in your business coach and doing those things, but something wasn't clicking. And that is so common, because really what it is most everyone out there, I mean, most gym owners struggle a good amount or are just stuck where I don't really have enough to hire or hand off these roles. So I'm working a ton of hours. And whether you're barely making ends meet or not quite, or you're doing pretty decent, we all get that feeling of hey, I'm stuck where I'm at. And it could be a slow stuck where it's okay, I'll grind this out, but I get increasingly unhappy with the business. Or it can be oh shit, what bills do I pay this month and what can I push off till next? So we talked in that fall, but you weren't ready to pull the trigger on it. You could see okay, I can see how this framework works, but not ready to pull the trigger on it. I guess what was one of your biggest reasons that you weren't ready on that? I'm curious to know that.
I'm a people pleaser.
You're what?
I'm a people pleaser. I didn't want to. I was afraid. I didn't want to hurt feelings.
Yeah. With the person you were currently working with.
Yep.
Yeah. And full disclosure for everybody listening out there, we don't encourage you to stop working with who you're working with. We're very complimentary. We're going to teach you certain skills and tactics that can just catapult your business no matter who you're working with. But in some cases like yours, Hugh, is there's a little affordability issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But when we put our heads together, we also looked at okay, months later, and the months later, the pressure was probably building on you, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, months because it just kept trickling out, right? It would be, 1 member left, 2 member left, 1 PT client left. We're trickling down 1,000 a month, down to 5 digits a month. And I'm trying to support a couple people on this. And it just kept trickling out, which just people weren't coming in the door. And the people that were coming in the door were signing up for our group class or signing up for our low ticket stuff. And I just didn't have a way to capitalize on anything. And I was just at the mercy of kind of the market and whoever walked in the door.
Yeah,
what they wanted to pay.
At that stage, you can't afford to spend a couple grand a month on running ads.
Oh no, and I didn't know what to do with them anyway.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that's it. Most people aren't playing a winnable game out there. If you're not able to make over 6 figures between, 100,000, 250,000 and not have to work 50 hours a week, you need to change the way you do business to be able to run it like an actual business. And it takes a while to get it there, but you should be able to step out or work less and still be really profitable and stable at the same time. And so, yeah, it was particularly challenging because, like, yeah, we got to the point where, like, okay, the shit's hitting the fan, steady drip. You're like, and at this point, you're like, okay, if I don't change, I know where this is heading. And that was kind of that pressure grinder. And you and me and Gabby, like, we talked a lot through this kind of journey too, because I have been in that exact same position where it's like, holy shit, not sure if I'm going to be able to eat this month. Not sure if I'm going to be able to cover rent this month. You know, I'm going to pay it a few days late and hope nobody really notices. You know, or like, oh, did you not get the check? You know, I've been in that situation where it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, we're getting phone calls from credit card companies. Right? And you're like, oh, 188 again. Let me just ding, ding, ding. Oh, it's the end of the month, ding. Or you're late on your HOA or your mortgage or something like that, right? Or you're arguing about grocery.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brutal on a relationship too. I mean, it was just my girlfriend at the time, but my wife now. In those initial stages, like, I would freak out if she bought a Starbucks. And just going grocery shopping and, like, you better be getting the cheapest shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it puts a lot of tension everywhere in your life.
Yeah. Like, luckily, Gabby's the responsible one.
Yeah.
But I was the one buying the Starbucks, right? And she's like, hey, we can't afford Starbucks. We can't afford this. We can't afford that. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, I guess we can.
So you kind of had the approach like the ostrich, you know, sticking the head in the sand for a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I've done that too. I've been there as well. Where it's like, I don't want to look at my numbers this month. Let's just keep going on. Okay. So yeah. And we came to that and, like, yeah, we talked a lot because, like, you need to make a change at this point. But at the same time, it's scary. Right. So we had to talk quite a bit with the three of us and on and off before you got like, okay, what was the big thing where you decided, like, let's go for
it? We went for we went out of town for the weekend. And we we visited her sort of like home gym, which is a CrossFit gym up in Boston. And it's it's a big successful gym, and we always love going there. Because we're like, oh, it's full of people and I don't know how much money they make, because that's up to them, but it's like a former games guy. So, like, you would think it crushes. And I think they do okay, but so we had that good energy coming out of there. And then just go, so I'll leave some space here, I guess, in the conversation, right? Just in case you want to edit this. So the turning point was when I decided to get sober. Because it was on that weekend where, like, I realized that, like, my problems weren't helping things. And so that Sunday we drove home. It was March 12th, I think, was the day we, like, reached back out to you and we're like, hey, we're ready to do this. I mean, if you looked at your messages or something, it's probably March 12th or March 13th. That's the day I decided to get sober. When I was like, I'm ready to change my life. Right?
And I remember that call when we hopped on.
Yeah.
Because it was both of you and you're like, should we go into the whole thing? Right? Yeah. Exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. You know, and she's like, yeah, I think we should. I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah, because I told you, right? And it's like, and so that was the biggest thing. I was like, you know what? This is unmanageable. Like, not only is it unmanageable for me, but it's ruining my business. And I want to take, like, a hard left turn, put it in someone else's hands, and just trust to heck on this one, right? Just hop in the rocket ship, and it's gonna help me get on a new path and do what I need to do, and help the business do what it needs to do. And that was, yeah. So it's been blast off ever since.
It has, and I remember us talking about too. Like, oh, listen. And anybody we hop on calls with, we show them, and it's not bullshit. It's like we go to war together. to make your business successful. And the way that we have structured is to make it affordable for everybody. But you were in such a cash flow behind the 8-ball situation too. They said, listen, you're in a really freaking tough spot. Okay. If you can't make this payment or whatever, just let me know. It's fine. Like, you got to eat, you got to do this. And like, we're going to need a bit of time to get this going. So, but we're in this together. I couldn't give a care less if you can't do that. As long as you're all in and you're going to put in the work, let's fucking do this together.
And that meant a ton to us. It was hard to believe because we didn't know you that well. Now knowing you, we're like, oh yeah, it makes total sense. But then, because like other programs had asked us for like more and more and more money, and we were like, we're not getting anything. Like, what the heck? And so we were like, this is just, okay, sure, he's saying this. And then like there was you split it up for us, and then even there was one time, we were talking earlier, but like I needed you to delay the payment like 3 or 4 days because we like in the first couple of weeks we weren't going to be able to, like, the auto debit would have bounced in the first like couple of weeks, and you were like, yeah, no problem. And I was like, well, shoot, like, yeah, ever from the start it's been like that, which we we obviously appreciate. It's made the difference in helping us grow to where we are.
Yeah, and because that's it. It's like there's the fear, because people will tell you anything that you really want. Like, the coaching space, again, doesn't have the best rep. Like, people will tell you anything they want. They want you to hear on a sales call is what you need to expect, right? So when it's actually genuine, you're kind of taken aback by it. But so, yeah, you guys pulled the trigger and then made the introduction to Dave being the guy who's actually taking you through the high ticket launch program. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. So like, Dave, what was it like starting out with that? And what were some of the first things that you kind of put together?
It wasn't good. The first 48 hours. This is Hugh. Should I tell the story like this? Like, you could
tell it.
Yeah,
I don't know this.
No, it's bad. Like, I showed it to Carrie and I'm like, this guy's not going to make it. That's what I said verbatim. Oh my God, read this. So I believe, Hugh, was it your first consult that you ever had? So like, you jumped right in and started taking action immediately. So you had a consult with this gal, and I don't know the inner workings, but bottom line is like, she's like, I need to think about it. They're trying to back out. So Hugh possibly sent the most offensive text message in the entire history of, it was DMs to this lady, like back, or was it a text or a DM?
Regardless.
It made my skin crawl. I mean, it almost made me sick. And it's like, I didn't want to say, oh my God, Hugh, you cannot treat people like that. That's what I was thinking. But like, so Carrie, like, is always like, she's always like my North Star. I'm like, how bad is this? So I passed the phone. We were meeting up with my wealth advisor that day, and I got a message, and I briefly looked over it. I'm like, I don't think he handled that correctly. But when I got back to the car, I looked at it, and I'm like, oh my God, like, he's going to get the worst review in the history of mankind. We might have to share the message in the notes. It was that bad.
Bring it.
And I gave it to Carrie, and Carrie's like, oh my God. And so like, I'm like, we probably like, we can handle this in different ways. That was my first and that was my first experience with you. After a week though, the guy takes action like no other. Like, he's a prime example. And a lot of what we're doing now in PTL, it's based off of Hugh's action. Like, we're proving if you follow the blueprint, the roadmap to a T, how everything could drastically change in 90 days. So while my first impression of Hugh was like, okay, like, we have some work to do, the guy bit into it, man, from day one. And we just finished our cohort, I guess it was about an hour, like literally 30 minutes ago. He just finished up his cohort. And I went around the room. I'm like, what did you guys get out of the program? Right. And Hugh, I'll let you answer this question, because the Hugh that I first met, he looked at the entire sales process so differently. What was your biggest takeaway from the program, Hugh? And talk about it like specifically to the way that you view sales now. Yeah.
So the biggest outcome is it's not necessarily about the outcome of the sale, right? It's about having the opportunity to help those people. And if you can, and that was the thing that got me through so many of those sales meetings, was realizing that I was there to help them and not, whether they went high, low, medium, wherever they ended up, or not buying anything at all, the fact that I tried my hardest to be honest and then to also help them, and that and I didn't really have any control over, if I did my best, what they were going to say. It was just, getting the reps in and trying to help as many people as possible. And, looking at it that way, I think, and that's what I'm trying to hold on to, at the end of the cohort, and trying to carry it forward.
Yeah.
That's it. Rewind that, listen to it over and over out there. Like, if you look at sales as not sales, but I'm coming from a place of help first, service. I'm going to use my 2 years, listen to this person's story, and whatever happens, happens. You'll never have to worry about money again. We can talk about systems and organization and mentors. That's the only thing you have to focus on. Just that alone, coming from a place of service. When they hear your story, everything will be fine.
And you need to have your offer, and your price point needs to put you in a position to win. You have those are the two things, really. And that's what you were missing before. You had pricing just like everybody else in the world out there. Mm-hmm. Right? And guys, acquisition is a freaking dogfight. It is. Like, it's tough. And regardless of doing paid ads or not, like, it's a dogfight. And the people that come in from the paid ads, they don't stick around as much either. You got a higher churn, and you're fighting for it. And you've got all this competition. There's Orange Theory, and there's F45, and there's all the boot camps. There's all these other, personal training or group training places around you. Because that's a lot of what we had. It's like, you're in a challenging area in Baltimore.
Dude, I share a parking lot with a personal trainer.
Mm-hmm.
We've got an Orange Theory and F45 just opened up within the last 3 months. They both got 300 to 500 members that came from somewhere, right? We've already got like the biggest CrossFit gym in Maryland right down the street. That, we've got another functional fitness gym within half a mile. I mean, I can go on. Like, how long do you want to sit here and talk about? And this is in a little peninsula of 14,000 people. This is a tiny area, right? So like, people are just like,
and not even tremendously high income either.
No, average age is like 28.
Yeah.
Or something. Like, this is a transient community. People meet their partner, they move out to the county and have kids. That's how it works here.
Mm-hmm. It is a challenging area with a lot of competition. And we spoke a lot about that. And I'm like, listen, your fears are real. And the volume game for you, you can't play. You're going to get eaten up. You'll never make it. And that's what's been happening. You're getting coaching and mentoring. And you went up a little bit, and then it's just a slow trickle down. If you play that game, you're going out. And that's what we talked about, and instead you learn how to build into your business high and mid ticket transformational offers. Right. And that changed the game. And we started talking a couple minutes before we hopped on this call. I'm like, save it, because it's so good. But what did you mention about you're making more money, but what about the volume?
I have the same average number of people I've had. Like, I'm at like 40, 42 people. The most we ever had is probably 55. The fewest we ever had was probably 30, 32. So we have about average for the gym over the last, we'll be open 3 years in July. So we're about average in terms of people, and our income is triple.
Wow.
Let's reiterate that, guys, again. Same number of people, but triple the revenue that you previously were.
I would also say that I would argue the value we're providing is more than triple to those people. In terms of pounds lost, fat lost, muscle gained, attention given, hours spent mentoring. It's all going with that revenue.
Yes. And that's the big thing, guys. This is not just about money. When people pay only a little bit of money, they don't have much skin in the game to change themselves. When you don't have a good program and a mentorship designed to help take people by the hand and help them become the person that they truly want to be, it doesn't work. They need to have skin in the game. You need to have an amazing program. And that's exactly what Hugh did. We've done it. We've created this thing. We do it. Dave and I do it in our 6, soon to be 7 gyms. And Hugh learned it. And literally within 8 weeks, where did you kind of finish up your second month at?
was the first month we just barely. First month we beat our best month ever, right?
Wow.
Which
Your
was
first 4 weeks with PT Legends.
Yeah, so the first 4 weeks we finished a little under 20, maybe 20K. And then our second month we were at like 38 and a half
Whoa.
or something, which was like by far the best we've ever done.
Hey, just a quick reminder to everybody, if you are ready to start making an extra $10,000 more this month, every month, by making more money with less clients with transformational programs and create a consistent flow of high-quality leads, you can learn more about what it's like to work with me and my team at PT Legends and how ridiculously affordable it is at CoachScottCarpenter.com. It is such a no-brainer that it more than pays for itself when we teach you how to enroll just two case study clients. Really, that's it. So go to CoachScottCarpenter.com and learn more about it. Incredible. And this is in your first 8 weeks of doing this.
Yep.
And so you were below 10 grand before coming into it, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. We were below the poverty line.
Oh my God. That's crazy though. Literally in 8 weeks. That's just insane. And that's why this story is so important to get out there and to share, because there's so many other gym owners in your situation. Yeah. Or maybe they're doing 5 or 10K more, but it's not what they need. Maybe they got a spouse, they got a family to support. They need to breathe. They need to go on vacation. And they're just wound up so tight. And it's just that fear, which either you really feel it all the time, low key, or you are stuffing your head in the sand and pretending it's not there and having an escape in some way, shape, or form, right? It hits you one of two ways. And I've done it both ways. But that's incredible. 38.5K in your second month with the same average number of people. That's incredible. Insane. And congrats to you for taking the action on everything. And one of the biggest things that you've taken action on is, yes, we help build in these high and mid-ticket programs into your business and teach you how to sell it. And the other big thing, because you can't do it because you had shit for lead flow as well, right? You had nothing and there's no money to advertise. So we went a different route. And this is something that no matter whether you're at 30K a month or 8K a month, you can bring in tens of thousands of dollars extra. And it's exactly what you did. Our organic acquisition system, you blew it out of the water. And it is literally like, okay, because our guy, Will, who's the best at it, he designs the stuff. Here's exactly what you want to put out to your social media, to your personal page. Here's exactly and here's the emails that you want to send out. And here's how you interact with people that like or comment. And it's done in a specific way, in a specific fashion. And you hopped on his calls, doing a weekly call, right? To get your content tuned up and to do all that, take a lot of the done for you thing. And that's how you attracted the majority of your people, correct?
That was the majority was during that push. Yeah. And that was just consistency of posting. And it's all add on. It's still going on. So we still get a few stragglers that are just real slow to book those second calls. And I'm like, guys, come on. But yes, yeah, it was the social media, the follow-ups, the DMs. Yeah.
And it's a lot of us just post and put shit out there, but there's no strategy to it. Like we feel we have to do it out of obligation. You're supposed to do it, but we have no idea how to monetize it. The coolest thing is it is free. It is free. People don't realize they've got $100 grand out there just sitting, waiting for you to help people. And all of that was done without spending $1 on ads.
I actually turned my ads off. I've been like, oh, maybe I should get ads on. And then I was like, this is stupid. This is just a waste of money. We'll turn ads off.
It's incredible. That is incredible. And we haven't even fired all the bullets in this gun either, right? When we teach you how to do the giveaway play, like a scholarship giveaway play and so on and so forth, we've got a lot more bullets to fire for you.
Cool.
And this is evergreen, obviously, right? But yeah, it's a really hard game because we just don't know. Very few people know how to do it.
Mhm.
I used to spend a lot of time for the last 5 years posting videos of me working out and stuff like that, and be like, "Oh, this is what you should do," and like, look at me without my shirt on, and it was like, I got all the likes and $0.
Mm-hmm.
And now I get a few likes and all the DMs, right? Like that's where it comes into play. Like people don't even necessarily like it a ton, but they will DM.
Yeah.
And the DMs you get are meaningful.
Absolutely. And that's it. It's not a popularity. You put out a true message, right? Have them connect with it on a deeper level. You will attract your highest paying, high ticket clients who see the value in it. They want the transformation that you're talking about, external and internal, more importantly, internal. They're the easiest people. And those are the clients who will do what you say, get the results, be happy to pay you month in, month out. And like, that's it. Like our businesses, they're built around attracting dream clients. I don't need 300. I can't handle 300, right? We can get 50 and crush it. You know, we can make $250,000 profit off of like 50 people. And not everybody's businesses are set up like that now, but this runs extremely effectively in CrossFits, in boot camps, in PT, in semi-private gyms. It's just built in differently with your level of fulfillment, right? Because you do group. Do you have group and?
I got group and I got, I guess, small group PT. I got group classes and small group PT.
Yep. Absolutely.
We had to switch from one-on-one to overlapping.
Yep. You ran with, that's right. You ran with her overlapping PT.
I had to.
Model. And exactly.
I had to.
It is, and especially as now, because you're literally just starting the next chapter in your life. And you're just like in the first couple pages, you're literally 2 months into this thing. There's so much more to do. And you had to do it, right? Overlapping PT is a different session type that we created for those of you who don't know what he's referring to. It's kind of a hybrid between one-on-one and semi-private or small group. And it's like all the pros of PT without the cons and all the pros of a small group or semi without the cons. And we won't go into the subtle differences on this, but it allows your capacity to increase while you maintaining a very high rate. And then you're at the beginning stages, Hugh, but when you hire, you need so fewer, well, you have some people, right? But you need fewer employees that can service way more.
Mm-hmm.
We run most of our places with like 2.5, 3 people, and you can service 50 grand.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. And you make way higher margins at the same time, but your employees are making way more money at the same time.
I just started onboarding like my first PT coach. This is our 4th try at a PT coach. This is the first one we're taking internally. We haven't had any luck with external candidates. And he's in sales by trade, so we're probably gonna talk to Dave later about like getting him in on some of those. But he's already like, I had him shadow and I wasn't feeling well, or, whatever, like having a cold or something. And he literally jumped in and like handled a couple people and was like, just like doing a great job. And I think the rate is just way different than your typical PT rate as well. Right. It makes it easier to kind of have that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've got 24-year-olds, making close to 6 figures, just training alone, delivering workouts, not losing them.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me a lot of stability, and I sleep well at night. And that can be one of the hardest things is scaling up and out of your business or different roles is hugely important. And most of us just don't have the businesses set up to do it. That's awesome that you're tackling that. Sounds like you've got a good one too. Like I like to hire slowly, fire fast, but hire slow. And if somebody jumps in and just does that, instead of you sitting down talking about what's in it for me, right? In the interview.
Everyone that comes external, it's like, how much am I going to get paid? How am I going to get clients? And this guy's like, what do you want me to do? Right. And we've known him for a year already. We know his wife, like he's local. He doesn't need the money, but he's like, I think I want to like start a gym one day. I was like, cool. Like, let me show you the way to do it. Because when you move in 3 years, this is going to be how you want to do it. Right. Like, he's just like, it's just great. He seems like that kind of like dream person that we want to do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And this would be a conversation for another day, potentially years in the future. But there is ways, like, let's say he does move and he does want to do this. There are structures where you can fund part of that in the future. And right, there's different things. You know, I've done a lot of different things with my gyms. There's a lot of different ways you can structure things where you can win.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that'd
hey,
be a dream.
Dave and I we're just recently doing this too. You know, we've got 6 gyms and we've got our hands full teaching other gym owners how to be successful and just teaching them what has made us successful. We have an amazing guy who's been through the 63-day transformation, was one of Dave's clients who's getting into this because he loves it. It changed his life. And he's done everything. He got certified in training and nutrition. He quit his job to go cut his teeth and get experience in the industry. His end goal is wanting to open up a studio. So we're going to back him. And it's going to be a win for literally everybody. Win for us, win for him. Is going to be a win for the community. So yeah, we can talk bigger strategies on that later on. So man, so you went from you went from 4 figures, in 2 months to nearly 40K in that second month in revenue, which is unheard of. It's nuts. You did it with all organic and high and mid ticket offers. What's next for you, man? What's the big vision? And you're probably still crafting it. You probably don't know yet.
Yeah. So I'd like to double that. I mean, I'd like to get this coach in there. I'd like to get another coach in there, and I'd like to double it. I'd like to be, I'd just like to double it. I'd like to get to 6 figures a month. That's ultimately the goal, is to get to like 80 or 100 a month, and then, have this be $1 million business, and then once I have $1 million business, then go to a $10 million business, which might be something else. I've been watching a lot of the Arnold documentary, if you can't tell. So that's probably in my head right now. But yeah.
What's it on? I didn't even know when it was coming out. Oh, it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix right now. It's fantastic.
I love Arnold.
It's just, he's phenomenal. It's just about always having a mission, and how like nothing really gets in the way. If you have a mission, you don't really notice what's going wrong. So, but yeah, the goal is to replace myself in the business. Maybe to raise our rates on the group side and kind of get that figured out once once I have the time, and then replace myself a little more with 1 or 2 people, one of which we've already started. The other one or two, I think I have in mind. And then from there, get that going for about a year, save up a nice little chunk of change, and then get that into the next, whatever it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's the path I've done, right? And I've diversified into different things and got short-term properties, rental properties, long-term commercial, and then obviously growing gyms, helping other gym owners become successful. And then there's some investment strategies, which for the 5 minutes we hopped on before we got on this, that's what you said. Like, well, now your biggest problem is like, okay, I'm behind in my bills. And within 2 months, what did you say it was?
Now it's trying to find a financial advisor.
It's fucking amazing, man.
Yeah.
You can't even make that stuff up. That's unreal.
Yeah. I used to take pictures, you do little screenshots, when your bank account's low.
Mm-hmm.
You probably did this at some point, right? And you're like, oh, negative balance. Like, I used to do that all the time, thinking like this would be the last time, and it was never the last time. And like now I do a screenshot and I'm like, oh, like, okay, like, cool. Like, but I know I'm going to keep doing larger and larger screenshots. So I'm just waiting until it hits like 6 figures in there.
Amazing. Always reminds me, because like I said, I'm truly an Arnold fan. So at Commando, after he gets done blowing shit up and he didn't want to do it, but they took his daughter, like this will be the what do you say? Like, this will be the last time until the next time. He looks back and goes, no chance. Such a good ending. Walks away with Alyssa Milano.
I knew you were going to do an Arnold impersonation. The second that Hugh mentioned it, I'm like, "Let's go!
Come on, let's go, Hugh, let's do it."
So good.
Come on. I love Arnold, man. I've read his autobiography. It's so inspiring because the guy just doesn't stop, like, growing and leveling up, and he's reinvented, but like, he's succeeded in the pinnacle of like so many different fields. And what people don't realize, he's a brilliant businessman.
Oh yeah.
Even before he did movies, he made it to be a millionaire, and he did it. He had a mail order business. He's like the OG of online training, right? He is literally mail order stuff. Yep. He also had a bricklaying business.
Yep.
In addition to what he would make with bodybuilding. And it's just amazing. Then movies, and then in his political career, and here's the biggest takeaway that I always got from him too. Everything in life is reps. Everything in life is reps. And I remember he screenshotted on the book a speech that he was delivering. I don't know if it was when he was a governor or like leading up to the campaign, but he had all these tally marks at the top. There's like 30, 40 something. That's how many times he rehearsed that speech. And how many speeches has that dude given before that? Like, but that's it. He puts in the fucking reps. Yeah. And that's also what we've been talking about with you. It's not, what's the big theme? Like, you're getting on this main thing, but it's like, we're not taking the eye off the ball. Right? We've all had times in the past when we just, okay, cool, we've got it. Now we're going to rest a little bit. But like, stay vigilant. There's a time and a place for that once you get it to a certain point. But for now, you step up to the plate. You keep putting in the reps, and you're going to build that $1 million business. Incredible, man.
That's what I'm going to do. That's the plan.
I love it. I love it. Dave, we'll kind of wrap this up shortly, but what's the coolest thing about taking Hugh through this whole thing?
Yeah, like for me, it's not about the money. It's seeing who Hugh is now, 10, 12 weeks from meeting him. He's a completely different human being. It's like, for me, I'm not really the money guy. Like, the money is that's the external transformation. Like, it gets me out of bed is the internal transformation. Just seeing someone like you starting off that you skittish, right? Like, that's why you sent that message to that lady, right? To who you are now. Like, that's the real transformation. And that's what we sell for the end user too, right? It's not about the weight. It's not about the scale. It's not what the mirror said. It's not what you see when you look in the mirror. It's what the mirror says to you. So it's that internal transformation. Like, and Hugh's a prime example. The only reason that he's 4x his income isn't the tactics. It's not the objection handling. It's he's become that guy. So he's the true definition of the transformation.
The coolest thing about that too is just how quickly it came on. It's just unbelievable. And I think that's what the message I'd like to get out to people listening to this one. You can change your life pretty fucking fast if you make a commitment to doing so. And you did. You're like, my life is not working out this way. I'm going to put my faith in these guys. But more importantly, I'm going to commit to taking these actions. And you took every fucking action.
Yeah.
Change the direction of your life in more ways than one. Because it started with like, drinking is not helping me. Gone. Let me redirect that into what will. So, man, I'm proud, man. It's awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Dave and I, we just love this stuff, man. This is having this kind of an impact. This is what makes everything worthwhile, and all the time and the effort that we put in. And like, this is the coolest story in the world, man, because we've been in your shoes. So thanks a lot for hopping on and sharing your story. What is, before we let you go, like, what is one thing that you would communicate, that you would want to say to a gym owner who is either really struggling or is stuck and just not living the life that they thought, they're not really where they want to be?
So Um, if you're stuck, you're not where you want to be. I would suggest you take massive action immediately. Right. And I can't think of a more massive action. Like if you're listening to Scott and Dave and you're like, these guys are pretty over the top, or wow, this sounds like a lot of money. So it's true. Right. Like it's true. Like it's massively, but all the steps leading up to the results, these massive results, or these over the top results, or what you're talking about, they're all true. It's not like, you didn't just launch me over the castle wall, right? Like you built me up until I was like strong enough to like crash through the door myself, right? So I would say that the best advice would be to take some massive action. I don't think there'd be two better guys to take massive action with than you guys. I thought the systems were really good. The support was really good, right? I got to talk to Dave at least once a week. 8 weeks in, I'm talking with another guy, Josh, who's like tops in the industry, and I'm going to get to talk to him. I'm trying to get some mindset coaching from him too, right? Like, so I think the resources to support, that can be one of the questions that people have, or like, what's behind this, right? Is there actually the supporting framework and structure behind these guys? And there absolutely is. And anything that I ever brought up as a question or that I needed help with, I felt got addressed, and there was a solution. And I mean, it all propelled me towards kind of where we are right now. And like, it's helped my relationships, it's helped my business. So guys, if you're stuck, like, get unstuck, like take some action, get unstuck. I'll work with you on money. That's the least of your concerns at this point. The more is like, how you're going to spend the money, how quickly you're going to pay your debt off.
Amazing, Hugh. I'm so used to saying amazing Will because he says amazing things. Not on the call today though. But Hugh, thank you so
sure.
much, man. I appreciate you sharing the story. It's important. You're going to inspire somebody to change the direction of their life and their business.
Yeah,
and it's 100% in their control.
Yeah, that's all. Right? It's like the social media. If you inspire one person, that's all I'm hoping to do. Right? It's just like someone can see themselves in me.
Awesome. Hugh, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hugh is inside of our Gym Owner Freedom Facebook group, right? So if you ever want to find him or drop him in a line or anything like that, feel free to do so. I'm sure you'd be happy to chat with anybody.
Yeah, sure.
Give anybody some support or encouragement and show kind of what you've done. So thank you so much. We will see you next week on the next show. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you are ready to start making an extra $10,000 a month or more this month by making more money with less clients and create a consistent flow of high-quality leads, you can learn about what it's like to work with me and how ridiculously affordable it is at CoachScottCarpenter.com. And if you got any value out of this episode, please pay it forward and leave a review for this show. It helps other gym owners find the answers to the huge problems that we all share. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.